Did you feel that tension just now because that 3 seconds of silence was the loudest thing I could have possibly done, and it probably made your heart rate spike just a tiny fraction or made you check your volume settings because in a world of constant noise and overstimulation, absolute silence is the ultimate pattern interrupt. That uncomfortable pause where you were waiting for me to speak and wondering if the video had frozen is exactly the same psychological pressure cooker you are going to use to shatter the frame of anyone who tries to disrespect you because the moment that silence hit you felt a biological urge to fill the void. That right there is the mechanism we are hacking today. Most people are terrified of that void. They feel the air leave the room and they panic. But you are not most people, or at least you won't be by the time this video is over. Let's talk about what usually happens when someone throws a verbal jab at you or tries to little boy you in a meeting or disrespects you in front of a date. The average person, the weak reactor, operates on a hair-trigger stimulus response loop that is millions of years old and totally outdated for modern social dynamics. Someone insults you and your amygdala, the lizard brain, instantly perceives it as a physical threat to your survival because in our tribal past social ostracization meant death, so your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. You get tunnel vision, your hands might shake, and you feel this burning compulsion to defend yourself immediately. You start explaining, you start raising your voice, you start stuttering out a comeback that you think is witty but actually just sounds desperate. This is the weak reactor archetype and it is fatal to your status. When you react instantly with defensiveness or anger, you are sending a massive clear signal to the entire room and specifically to the aggressor that they have power over your emotional state. You are telling them that their opinion of you matters more than your opinion of yourself. You are handing them the remote control to your nervous system and saying, "Here, push a button and watch me dance." It is low-status behavior wrapped in the disguise of standing up for yourself. Now contrast that with the high-value Stoic, the archetype we are decoding today. Think about the most powerful figures in history or the most dominant CEOs or the lead characters in high-stakes dramas like Harvey Specter or Thomas Shelby. When they are disrespected, they never, and I mean never, jump straight to defense. They do exactly what I did at the start of this video. They utilize the death stare silence. They pause. They look the aggressor dead in the eyes without blinking, without grimacing, and without looking away. In that silence, they are flipping the script entirely because conversation is a game of tennis where usually one person hits the ball and the other hits it back, but when you refuse to hit the ball back, the game stops and the other person is left standing there looking foolish, holding a racket, swinging at thin air. The silence is not passive, it is an active aggressive vacuum that sucks the oxygen out of the aggressor's argument. By not reacting, you are subcommunicating a terrifying level of confidence. You are saying without words that your reality is so solid and your self-perception is so unshakable that their words simply bounced off you like pebbles hitting a tank. The psychology here is devastatingly effective because it relies on the curiosity gap and the fear of the unknown. When you yell back, the aggressor knows exactly where they stand. They know they got to you. It confirms their worldview that they are a threat. But when you stare at them in total silence for 3 to 4 seconds, you introduce chaos into their mental model. They expected resistance and they got a void. Now their brain starts scrambling to fill that void with their own insecurities. They start wondering, did he hear me? Did I go too far? Why isn't she reacting? Is she plotting something worse? Is he judging me? They project their own fear into your silence. This is how you shatter their frame. In social dynamics, the frame is the unwritten set of rules governing the interaction. If you defend yourself, you are operating inside their frame where they are the judge and you are the accused. By using the death stare silence, you reject their frame entirely. You are refusing to step into the witness stand. You are remaining the judge. You are forcing them to wait for your judgment. Let's dig deeper into why this works on a neurological level, because this isn't just a cool trick, it is hardwired biology. Human beings are social flock animals and we rely on feedback loops to navigate hierarchy. When an alpha or a high-status individual is challenged, they do not flinch because they do not perceive the challenger as a genuine threat. A lion does not roar when a mouse squeaks at it. It doesn't even turn its head. By mimicking this biological signal of non-reactivity, you are hacking the social hierarchy of the room. You are artificially inflating your status to that of the alpha regardless of your actual job title or bank account balance. The room watches. The bystanders are the most important part of this equation. If you get into a shouting match, the bystanders see 2 people losing control. If you remain silent while the other person gets agitated, the bystanders see 1 lunatic screaming at a statue. The contrast makes you look infinitely more powerful and it makes the aggressor look unstable and emotional. You win the room not by what you say, but by what you refuse to say. Think about the last time you saw a celebrity interview where the interviewer asked a rude or out-of-pocket question. Watch how someone like Robert Downey Jr. or even a tech titan like Elon Musk handles it. They don't scream. They often tilt their head, slightly maintain eye contact, and let the silence hang for a beat too long. That beat, that extra second of silence, is the weapon. It forces the interviewer to stutter, to backtrack, to nervously laugh, or to clarify their question. That is the moment the power dynamic shifts. The interviewer thought they were the predator, but suddenly they realize they are the prey because the person opposite them is comfortable in the tension while they are drowning in it. This is what I mean when I say you will control every room you walk into. Control is not about being the loudest voice, it is about being the one who dictates the tempo of the interaction. Silence slows the tempo down to your pace. You force the world to wait for you. And I want to be clear that this is not about being a doormat. This is not about ignoring disrespect and hoping it goes away. This is about strategic, delayed engagement. The death stare silence is the precursor to the verbal destruction, which we will get to later in the video, but you cannot deliver the verbal knockout if you haven't first stunned them with the silence. The silence is the jab that blinds them. It creates the opening. It allows you to bypass their defenses because they are so busy analyzing your lack of reaction that they leave their mental guard down. You are also buying yourself time to think. While they are sweating in the silence, you are collecting your thoughts, allowing your prefrontal cortex to come back online, overriding that emotional amygdala hijack so that when you finally do speak, you are speaking with precision and cold logic rather than hot emotional messiness. We also need to address the micro-expressions involved here because a blank stare can look like confusion if you don't execute it right, and we don't want you looking confused, we want you looking dangerous. The high-value Stoic stare involves relaxing the facial muscles, specifically the jaw. When we get angry, we clench our jaw. You must consciously unclench. Your eyes should not be wide like a deer in headlights, they should be relaxed, focused, piercing. You are looking through them, not at them. Imagine you are looking at the back of their skull. This changes the focal length of your eyes and gives you that 1,000-yard stare that is deeply unsettling to be on the receiving end of. It signals that you are analyzing them as an object, not engaging with them as a peer. It is a subtle form of dehumanization that places you above them on the social ladder. It says, I am studying you like a lab rat, and nobody likes to feel like a lab rat. This technique is a pattern interrupt because society conditions us to be polite and to fill silence. We are taught from kindergarten to answer when spoken to smooth over awkwardness, to smile, to be agreeable. The aggressor relies on this social contract. They rely on your politeness to let them get away with their disrespect. When you break that contract with silence, you are breaking the pattern of predictable behavior. It is a glitch in the matrix of social interaction. It shocks the system. It is the verbal equivalent of a slap in the face. It wakes everyone up. You can see it in their eyes when you do it. Their pupils will dilate. Their smile will falter. Their body language will close up. They might cross their arms or take a half step back. These are all subconscious surrender signals. They are signaling that they have lost the frame and they are trying to protect themselves from the uncertainty you have introduced. Now imagine using this in a high-stakes business negotiation. The other party tries to lowball you or makes a snide comment about your experience. The weak reactor tries to justify their price or lists their resume. The high-value Stoic just looks at them. 3 seconds. 4 seconds. The other party starts to sweat. They start thinking, maybe I pushed too hard, maybe he has another offer, maybe she knows something I don't. They start negotiating against themselves. They might break the silence by improving their own offer just to end the tension. I mean, obviously we can be flexible on the rate. They might stumble out. You made money literally by doing nothing. That is the power of high-retention storytelling applied to real life. You are creating a narrative of high value simply by editing out the fluff and leaving only the impact. Let's look at the emotional connection aspect here, because I know some of you are thinking, I can't do that, I'm too anxious, or I'll just look weird. I understand that fear. It feels safer to talk. Talking feels like doing something. Silence feels like vulnerability. But I want you to reframe that. Talking is actually the vulnerability, because when you talk, you are revealing your cards. You are showing them what you are thinking. Silence is armor. Behind the wall of silence, you are impenetrable. They don't know if you are angry, amused, bored, or plotting their demise. You become a mystery, and mystery is the bedrock of charisma and power. People are drawn to what they cannot figure out. By being the person who can sit in the fire of awkwardness without getting burned, you become the most magnetic person in the room. You are demonstrating a level of emotional regulation that is rare and highly attractive. This is why this video is not just about dealing with haters or rude people, it is about a fundamental shift in how you move through the world. It is about moving from a reactive state of existence where the world happens to you to a proactive state of existence where you happen to the world. The death stare silence is just the physical manifestation of a mental fortress. It is the outward sign of an inner reality that says, I am steady, I am grounded, and I cannot be moved by your petty attempts to destabilize me. It is Stoicism in action. It is the practical application of ancient philosophy in a modern context. Marcus Aurelius would have used the death stare. He wouldn't have argued with a heckler in the Roman Forum. He would have looked at them with the weight of an emperor and let the silence do the heavy lifting. And consider the energy conservation. Getting angry is exhausting. Defending yourself is exhausting. Your heart rate goes up, you burn glucose, your cortisol spikes, it ruins your mood for the rest of the day. You replay the argument in the shower 3 days later thinking about what you should have said. The death stare silence is efficient. It costs you 0 calories. It requires 0 creative energy. You just stop. You preserve your peace while simultaneously destroying their composure. It is the ultimate asymmetrical warfare strategy. You invest nothing and they pay the price in anxiety and loss of status. You stay fresh and ready for the next challenge while they are depleted by their own failed aggression. This is how you win the long game. This is how you survive the corporate jungle, the dating market, and the social arena without burning out. By the end of this video, you aren't just going to learn how to stare at someone. You are going to learn how to reprogram your default response to stress. You are going to learn how to detach your self-worth from external validation. We are going to break down exactly what to say after the silence, because yes, eventually you do have to speak, but only when you have established absolute dominance over the timing. The silence prepares the ground for the verbal seed you are about to plant. If you plant the seed in the middle of a storm, it washes away. If you wait for the calm which you create with the silence, the seed takes root. We are going to give you the exact scripts, the specific phrases that work best after that 3-second pause to twist the knife and finish the interaction decisively. But before we get to the words, we have to master the pause. You have to become comfortable with the feeling of your own heart beating in your chest without needing to act on it. You have to learn to observe your own adrenaline spike like a third party watching a wave crash on the shore without getting swept away by it. This is the difference between a child and an adult, between a novice and a master. The novice reacts. The master responds. And the response always begins with a pause. That pause is your throne. It is where you sit to survey the kingdom before you issue a decree. If you speak from a place of panic, you are speaking as a peasant. If you speak from a place of calculated silence, you are speaking as a king or queen. I want you to visualize a specific scenario right now. Imagine you are at a dinner party. The music is low, the conversation is flowing. Someone makes a joke at your expense. It's cruel, it's unnecessary, and it cuts deep. The whole table goes quiet, waiting to see what you do. The old you would have laughed awkwardly to ease the tension or snapped back with a weak insult. The new you, the version of you that is emerging from this video, does neither. You turn to them. You lock eyes. You let the silence hang. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. The smile falls off their face. The other guests shift in their seats. You have sucked all the air out of the room. You are holding the moment hostage. You are the director of this scene and you just yelled cut. In that moment, you are the most powerful person at that table. Nobody is looking at the aggressor anymore. They are looking at you, waiting for your cue. You have total control. And it feels incredible. It feels like a superpower because it is. The beauty of this technique is its universality. It works on a bully in the schoolyard, it works on a passive-aggressive mother-in-law, it works on a toxic boss, it works on a rude barista. It works because it targets the universal human software of social hierarchy. We are all programmed to fear the silence of the tribe leader. By adopting that silence, you hack the program. You bypass their logic and speak directly to their instincts. You trigger their submission reflex. And the best part is they can't even accuse you of being rude. You didn't say anything mean. You didn't raise your voice. You just looked at them. If they get upset about it, they look insane. Why are you looking at me like that, they might ask. And that question itself is an admission of defeat. They are asking you to stop because they can't handle the pressure. You have won without throwing a single punch. So as we move forward into the specific mechanics and the verbal follow-ups, I want you to keep this feeling in mind. The feeling of that opening silence. That density. That weight. That is your anchor. Whenever you feel the urge to speed up, I want you to slow down. Whenever you feel the urge to fill the space, I want you to expand the space. We are going to turn you into a black hole of charisma where nothing escapes your gravity unless you allow it to. We are going to take the weak reactor behavior and incinerate it. We are going to build the high-value Stoic brick by brick, starting with the foundation of silence. Because once you master the silence, the words become easy. The words are just the decoration. The silence is the structure. And we are building skyscrapers here, not shacks. You know that feeling deep in your gut, right at the solar plexus, that hits the exact microsecond someone cuts you down in front of a group. It is not just annoyance, and it is not just anger. It is a visceral, physical shockwave that travels from your stomach up to your throat, tightening your vocal cords and making your face flush hot. You are standing there, your heart rate creates a thumping rhythm in your ears, and your brain suddenly feels like it is moving through molasses. You try to think of a comeback, a defense, or a witty retort, but the hard drive in your mind has crashed, showing you nothing but a spinning wheel of death. This is not a glitch in your personality, and you are not weak for feeling this way. What you are experiencing is a biological override code that has been hardwired into your DNA for hundreds of thousands of years. To understand why you keep losing these interactions, why you walk away feeling small while the other person walks away smirking, we have to look under the hood of human evolution and realize that your brain does not know the difference between a sarcastic comment from a coworker and a physical spear thrown by a rival tribesman. When someone disrespects you, they are not just using words, they are attacking your status hierarchy. In the ancient world, if your status dropped too low, if you were ostracized or seen as the weakest link, the tribe would leave you behind. Being left behind meant freezing to death or being eaten by predators. So, when Dave from accounting makes that snide remark about your presentation skills in the boardroom, your amygdala, the lizard part of your brain responsible for survival, screams that you are about to die. It triggers a massive dump of cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream, preparing you for a literal fight to the death. This is why you feel shaky. This is why you can't think straight. Your body has diverted all blood flow away from your prefrontal cortex, the logic center, and sent it to your muscles so you can punch or run. The problem is, you cannot punch Dave, and you cannot run out of the meeting. So you freeze. You are trapped in a biological cage, flooded with stress hormones, while the person disrespecting you is cool, calm, and collected. This imbalance is the foundation of the puppet master trap. You have to understand that in the game of social dominance, the person who reacts the most loses the most. The moment you show visible emotion, the moment your voice cracks, or you start to over-explain yourself, you have handed the remote control of your emotional state to the person attacking you. We call this the puppet master dynamic because they pull a string, and you dance. They poke, and you jump. It is a sick form of entertainment for them, but for you, it feels like drowning. This brings us to the most insidious tactic used by narcissists, toxic family members, and workplace bullies, a concept known as reactive abuse. If you take nothing else away from this, listen to this part closely because it explains every single fight you have ever lost. Reactive abuse is when a manipulator psychologically pokes, prods, and provokes you continuously, often in subtle ways that other people might not notice, pushing you until your stress threshold breaks. They want you to explode. They are banking on it. They will whisper triggers, roll their eyes, or interrupt you repeatedly until you finally snap and raise your voice or say something mean back. The second you react, the second you explode, they lean back, put their hands up in mock surrender, and say, "Whoa, calm down. Why are you being so crazy?" They flip the camera. Suddenly, you are the aggressor. You are the unstable one. You are the problem. They have successfully provoked a reaction out of you that they can now use as proof of your instability. They will look around the room at everyone else and give a look that says, "See what I have to deal with." This is the trap. You are being punished for your reaction to their abuse, while their abuse goes completely unnoticed because it was delivered with a smile or a calm voice. The injustice of this burns like acid. You go home and replay the scenario 1,000 times, thinking about how unfair it is that they started it, but you got blamed for finishing it. But here is the hard truth you need to swallow. The world does not judge who started the fire. The world judges who looks like the arsonist. When you are screaming and they are calm, you look like the arsonist. You played right into their hand. You became the puppet. This leads us directly into the concept of the frame. Every social interaction takes place within a psychological frame. Think of the frame as the unspoken context or the rules of the reality you are currently in. When someone disrespects you, they are setting a frame that says, "I am up here, and you are down there." Or, "I am the judge, and you are the guilty party on trial." Most people, when they feel that disrespect, immediately try to defend themselves. You think that by explaining your side, by bringing up facts, by justifying your actions, you are winning the argument. You are wrong. The moment you defend yourself, you accept their frame. Let's look at a POV skit in your mind. Imagine someone says to you, "Wow, you're actually wearing that to the event? It's a bit brave, isn't it?" If you respond with, "What? No, this is a designer brand. I bought it specifically for this, and it fits the dress code perfectly," you have just lost. Why? Because you accepted the premise that your outfit needed to be justified. You stepped into their courtroom and took the witness stand. You are pleading your case to them, which subconsciously validates their authority to judge you. You are seeking their approval, even while you are arguing with them. The person asking the questions holds the power. The person answering the questions holds the burden of proof. By defending, you are signaling to everyone in the room that this person's opinion of you matters. You are signaling that their disrespect landed, that it hurt, and that you are scrambling to fix the damage. This is high status versus low status behavior. A high status individual does not feel the need to explain their choices to someone who is trying to belittle them. Defensiveness is the scent of blood in the water for these social sharks. Now, we need to categorize the ammunition they use. Disrespect isn't a monolith. It comes in flavors, and identifying exactly which type of poison you are being fed is the first step in building immunity. We see three main archetypes of disrespect that trap people in this cycle of reactive abuse and defensiveness. The first is the interrupt. This is the brute force attack. You are speaking, you are making a valid point, perhaps you are telling a story that makes you look good, and suddenly, boom, they cut right over you. They might change the subject, they might talk louder, or they might just start a side conversation with someone else. This is not an accident. Do not fall into the trap of thinking they just have poor social skills or they are excited. In a power dynamic, the interrupt is a territorial pissing contest. They are silencing you to assert dominance. They are betting that you are too polite to keep talking. They are banking on your social conditioning that says interrupting back is rude. So you stop. You trail off. You look down. And in that silence, your status evaporates. You have implicitly agreed that what they have to say is more important than what you are saying. It creates a vacuum where your confidence used to be. The pain of being interrupted is the pain of being told you do not exist. It triggers that childhood wound of being ignored by the adults. And if you get angry and shout, "Let me finish," you look petty. You look rattled. They win again. The second type is far more slippery and dangerous, the backhanded compliment. This is the weapon of choice for the nice bullies, the ones who operate under the guise of friendship or concern. They say things like, "You're so confident. I wish I didn't care what people thought of me as much as you do." Or, "That's actually a really good idea for someone with your background." It is wrapped in sugar, but the center is cyanide. The psychological genius of the backhanded compliment lies in its plausible deniability. If you get offended, they can instantly gasp and say, "I was complimenting you. Why are you so sensitive? I said you were confident." They gaslight you in real time. You feel the insult, your gut registers the disrespect, but your brain is confused because the words were technically positive. This cognitive dissonance freezes you. You don't know whether to say thank you or tell them to go to hell. Usually, you end up giving an awkward half smile, which creates a feeling of self-betrayal. You know you just let them get away with it. You know they just slapped you in the face, but because they wore a velvet glove, you didn't block the hit. This type of disrespect eats away at your self-esteem over time because it makes you question your own perception of reality. You start wondering if you really are just too sensitive. You aren't. They are just that good at being covertly cruel. The third type is the public call-out. This is the nuclear option. This is when they decide to highlight a mistake, a flaw, or an insecurity of yours in front of an audience. It relies on the spotlight effect. Psychologically, we all feel like we are on a stage, but when someone points the spotlight at us aggressively, our anxiety skyrockets. They might say, "Hey everyone, look who finally decided to show up on time." Or, "Did you really just say that? That is so embarrassing for you." They are weaponizing the group against you. They are trying to recruit the other people in the room to join in on the disrespect, turning it into a mob dynamic. This triggers a profound sense of shame. Shame is different from guilt. Guilt says, "I did something bad." Shame says, "I'm bad." The public call-out is designed to induce shame, to make you want to shrink, to disappear, to fold in on yourself. And again, the trap is set. If you get defensive in front of the group, you look weak. If you attack them back, You look aggressive and ruin the vibe of the group, making you the buzzkill. They have created a lose-lose scenario for you. They are the ringmaster, and you are the lion being whipped, and the audience is watching. The fear of social rejection is one of the most potent fears in the human psyche, and the public call-out leverages that fear to keep you submissive. All of these tactics share a common thread. They rely on your participation. They rely on you caring about their opinion. They rely on you valuing the social peace more than your own dignity. They rely on you following the script that they wrote. They are the puppet master, but here is the secret they don't want you to know. A puppet is only a puppet if it has strings attached. Those strings are your need for validation, your fear of conflict, and your impulse to defend yourself. When you understand the neuroscience of why you feel the heat in your face, when you understand the mechanics of reactive abuse, and when you can spot the 3 types of disrespect coming from a mile away, you stop being a participant and start being an observer. You stop reacting and start responding. You cut the strings. But to do that, you have to stop looking at the disrespect as a reflection of your worth and start seeing it for what it truly is. A desperate, pathetic attempt by a status-hungry individual to climb a ladder that only exists in their head. The pain you feel is real, but the narrative they are spinning is false. You have been losing because you have been playing their game by their rules. You have been bringing a defensive shield to a psychological sniper fight. You have been trying to use logic against someone who is using emotion as a weapon. It is time to stop stepping into the trap. It is time to realize that the burning in your chest is just energy, and energy can be redirected. You are not crazy for reacting. You are human. But being human also means you have the capacity to override your programming. You are not a slave to your amygdala. You are not a victim of the frame. You are about to become the glitch in their matrix that shuts the whole system down. You need to understand that their power is an illusion. It is smoke and mirrors. They are not giants. They are small people standing on the stilts of your reaction. If you kick out the stilts, they fall. And you are going to learn exactly how to kick out those stilts, not with anger, not with shouting, but with a precision that will leave them stuttering and scrambling for cover. The cycle of you going home and beating yourself up ends today. The era of you being the nice guy or the nice girl who just takes it is over. You are entering a new phase of social combat, one where you don't fight fire with fire, you fight fire with water. Cold, hard, drowning water. Let's go deeper into the psychology of the reaction itself. Why is it so hard to just stay silent? Why does the silence feel so heavy? It's because silence in the face of aggression feels like submission. Your ego screams that if you don't say something, you are admitting defeat. But this is the paradox. In the world of high-value communication, silence is not empty, it is full. Reactive abuse works because it relies on the speed of the interaction. It relies on a ping-pong rhythm. Ping, pong. Insult, defense, poke, scream. When you are stuck in that rhythm, you are operating on automatic pilot. You are an NPC in their video game. Breaking that rhythm is physically painful at first because you are fighting your own impulse to resolve the tension. The manipulator creates tension, and your natural instinct is to resolve it. How do you usually resolve it? By explaining, by apologizing, or by fighting. But what if you just let the tension sit there? What if you let the tension grow so thick in the room that it chokes them, not you? The puppet master is terrified of a puppet that doesn't move. It confuses them. It breaks their reality. They pull the string, and nothing happens. They pull harder, and still nothing. Now, panic sets in for them. They start to overcompensate. They start to reveal their hand. You see, the only reason they look powerful is because you are acting weak. The moment you stop acting weak, their power dissipates like fog in the sunlight. You have to reframe your understanding of winning. Winning is not having the last word. Winning is not making them admit they are wrong, because they never will. Winning is maintaining your emotional center. Winning is denying them the supply of your energy. Every time you get angry, you are feeding them. You are giving them a meal of your life force. Stop feeding the trolls. Stop feeding the demons in your life who dress up as friends or bosses. Think about the sheer energy expenditure of being reactive. It exhausts you. You leave these interactions drained, needing a nap or a drink, while they leave energized. They vampirized your emotional state. This is why the puppet master analogy is so accurate. It is a parasitic relationship. By understanding the trap, you are essentially putting on the special sunglasses from the movie they live. You stop seeing Dave from accounting being a jerk, and you start seeing Dave, a deeply insecure individual, attempting to siphon status from me to patch the hole in his own ego. When you see it that way, it becomes less hurtful and more pathetic. It becomes predictable. And once something is predictable, it is manageable. You stop being blindsided. You stop the adrenal dump because you saw it coming. Ah, there is the interrupt. You think to yourself, oh, classic, there is the backhanded compliment. You become a scientist observing a lab rat running through a maze. You don't get mad at the rat for running the maze. That's just what rats do. You don't get mad at a manipulator for manipulating. That's just what they do. Your anger comes from the expectation that they should be better, that they should be fair, that they should be respectful. Drop that expectation. It is a weight that is drowning you. Accept that they are playing a dirty game and decide that you are going to play a completely different sport. We also have to acknowledge the role of modern culture in this. We are living in an era of the clapback. Social media has conditioned us to believe that the person with the snappiest, rudest, fastest comeback is the winner. We watch videos of X destroys Y with facts and logic. We are trained to think that verbal sparring is the way to handle disrespect. But real life is not a TikTok comment section. In the real world, constant clapping back makes you look contentious and difficult. It lowers your status. The true alphas, the truly powerful people, do not waste their breath on every barking dog. If you stop to throw stones at every dog that barks, you will never reach your destination. The manipulator knows this. They are trying to drag you down into the mud with them because in the mud, they have the advantage. They are comfortable in the dirt. You are not. So why do you keep jumping in? It is the illusion that you can clean them up. You can't. You can only get dirty. The puppet master relies on your desire to be understood. You want them to understand that they hurt you. You want them to understand that they are wrong. You are screaming, "Can't you see what you are doing?" The answer is yes, they can see it. They are doing it on purpose. You are trying to appeal to the empathy of someone who has shut their empathy off. It is like trying to install software on a computer that has no hard drive. It will never work, and you will only burn out your own processor trying. This section is about validating your pain. It hurts to be disrespected. It hurts to be treated like you don't matter. But it is also about waking you up. The pain is a signal. It is a fire alarm. But instead of putting out the fire, you have been running around screaming at the smoke. You have been caught in the loop of reactive abuse, dancing to the tune of the puppet master, and falling for the frame trap every single time. You have been fighting the interrupts, decoding the backhanded compliments, and shrinking from the public callouts. No more. You now see the matrix. You see the strings. You understand the biology of your own fear and the psychology of their aggression. You are standing at the precipice of a change. The next time that heat rises in your chest, you will recognize it not as a call to fight, but as a reminder that someone is trying to pull your strings. And for the first time in your life, you are going to refuse to dance. You are going to stand still. You are going to hold your frame. And you are going to watch them unravel. This is not about being passive. This is about being strategic. This is about conserving your power for things that actually matter. The trap is only a trap if you don't know it's there. Now you know. The game has changed because you finally read the rulebook that they were trying to hide from you. We are diving straight into the meat of social dynamics right now because the fluff is what gets you killed in a verbal confrontation, and we are not here to survive, we are here to dominate the interaction through sheer psychological leverage. You know exactly what it feels like when someone disrespects you in public or in a meeting or even at a family dinner because the air instantly leaves the room and your heart rate spikes to 120 beats per minute and your reptilian brain starts screaming at you to either punch them in the face or run away and hide under a rock. That is the fight or flight response, and quite frankly, it is primitive technology that does not serve you in the modern world where status is determined not by who has the biggest stick but by who has the strongest frame. We are calling this section social jiu-jitsu for a reason because in martial arts you do not block a punch by standing there and taking the impact, you use the momentum of the attacker to throw them to the ground, and that is exactly what we are going to do with words. Before we even get to the specific words you are going to say, we have to talk about the delivery system because you can have the best comeback in the world, but if you deliver it with a shaky voice and high pitch, you have already lost the war before the first syllable leaves your mouth. Most people do not understand that communication is 90% nonverbal and tonal, so let us break down the deep dive analysis of tone, pitch, and cadence because this is the foundation upon which your verbal kill shots will stand. When you feel attacked, your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline, which tightens your vocal cords and restricts your diaphragm, causing your voice to jump up an octave and your cadence to speed up because your brain is terrified of being interrupted, so you try to cram as many words as possible into a single breath. This is the sound of submission. It is the sound of someone who does not believe they have the right to hold the floor. To project absolute authority, you must consciously do the exact opposite of what your instincts are screaming at you to do. You need to drop your pitch and slow your cadence down to a speed that feels uncomfortably slow to you but feels incredibly powerful to everyone else watching. Think about the most authoritative figures in history, or even the lead characters in movies like The Godfather or Peaky Blinders, because they never rush. Rushing signals anxiety. Slowness signals certainty. By slowing your speech, you are subcommunicating to the entire room that you are not threatened by the disrespect and that you are in total control of the time and space. You are signaling that you are the prize and that the other person is merely a guest in your reality. This requires you to breathe deep into your stomach rather than shallow into your chest, which physically forces your voice to resonate deeper and richer. When you drop the pitch at the end of a sentence rather than raising it like a question, you turn a statement into a command. This is the difference between asking for respect and demanding it without ever raising your voice. You want to speak as if you have all the time in the world, because in that moment you do. The person attacking you is operating on high-frequency nervous energy, and by staying in a low-frequency calm state, you create an energetic contrast that makes them look erratic and emotional while you look stable and dangerous. Now that we have established the operating system of your voice, let us load the first verbal kill shot, which is a tactic I call the concern frame. This is one of the most devastating maneuvers in social psychology because it completely flips the script on the dynamic of the interaction. Usually, when someone attacks you or makes a rude comment, they are positioning themselves as the dominant judge and you as the subordinate victim who is being judged. They are above and you are below. Most people try to fight back by getting angry, which only confirms that the attacker has power over your emotions. If you get mad, they win because they have successfully pushed your buttons. The concern frame changes the game entirely by treating their aggression not as a threat but as a symptom of a mental or emotional breakdown. You look them dead in the eyes with genuine soft curiosity and you say something like, "Are you okay? That sounded really aggressive." Or you can say, "Is everything all right at home? You seem really stressed to be lashing out like that." Let us analyze why this nuclear option works so effectively. You are pathologizing their behavior. You are no longer the victim, you are now the therapist and they are the patient. By asking if they are okay, you are implying that a normal, well-adjusted human being would never say what they just said, so there must be something broken inside of them. It instantly shifts the attention of the room from your alleged flaw to their lack of emotional control. You are reframing their attack as a cry for help. The brilliance here lies in the fact that it is socially unassailable because you are technically being nice. You are expressing concern for their well-being. If they get angry at you for asking if they are okay, they look like a lunatic who attacks people for being compassionate. If they try to deny it and say they are fine, they are forced to calm down and backpedal to prove that they are indeed okay. You have effectively put them in a double bind where any reaction other than submission makes them look unstable. You have to understand that this only works if you sell the emotion of pity. You cannot say it sarcastically. You have to look at them with the same face you would make if you saw a puppy with a broken leg. That mixture of confusion and pity is lethal to someone's ego because people who disrespect others are usually doing it to feel powerful, and you cannot feel powerful when the person you are attacking is looking at you like you are a sad, broken thing that needs a hug. It drains all the venom out of their bite and leaves them holding the bag of their own negativity while you remain pristine and untouched. Moving on to the second tactical nuke in your arsenal, we have literal interpretation. This is the ultimate antidote to sarcasm and passive-aggressive comments, which are the weapons of cowards who are too afraid to be directly confrontational. Sarcasm relies entirely on shared context and quick wit to land. It relies on the assumption that everyone understands the joke is a joke. When you refuse to acknowledge the subtext and instead interpret their words purely at face value, you strip the joke of its power and force the attacker to explain themselves, which is the death of all humor. If someone explains a joke, it is no longer funny. It becomes awkward and tragic. Let us look at a concrete scenario. You are in a meeting and you make a small mistake and a coworker says, "Nice job, Einstein, really brilliant work there." The instinct is to snap back or roll your eyes, but instead you employ literal interpretation. You pause, you look at them with zero emotion, and you say deeply and earnestly, "Thank you, I actually put a lot of effort into this project and I appreciate you noticing the details." Watch what happens in that moment. The air creates a vacuum. They are now stuck. They have two choices and both of them are terrible for them. Choice 1 is they have to double down and say I was being sarcastic, you idiot, which makes them look like a bully and a jerk in front of everyone. Choice 2 is they have to accept your thanks and shut up, which means you just accepted a compliment that they never intended to give. You have alchemized their insult into praise. Let us try another variation. Someone makes a rude joke about your appearance, maybe saying, "Did you get dressed in the dark this morning?" Instead of getting offended, you look at them with a flat effect and say, "No, I got dressed with the lights on around 7:30, why do you ask?" You treat their rhetorical question as a data inquiry. This forces them to look at the literal mechanics of their insult. They now have to explain, "Well, I meant that your shirt looks bad." Now they are just being mean explicitly and they lose the cover of humor. The beauty of literal interpretation is that it requires high intelligence to execute, but it makes you look innocent. You are playing the role of the person who is too focused on facts and reality to be bothered by petty social games. It signals that you are operating on a higher frequency where logic rules and emotional barbs cannot penetrate. It makes the attacker look like a child trying to play pranks on a professor. The key here is the silence after you answer. You give the literal answer and then you stop. You do not explain. You do not justify. You let your literal answer hang in the air like a heavy fog. That silence is where the discomfort grows for them. They are waiting for you to crack or to get the joke, and when you do not, they are left holding the awkwardness that they created. Now we need to discuss the third tactic, which is nonverbal and perhaps the most primal of them all. This is the slow blink. We are moving away from language now and into the realm of biology and evolutionary signaling. In the animal kingdom, staring without blinking is often a sign of aggression or a predator locking onto prey, but rapid blinking or darting eyes is a sign of fear and submission. It signals that the nervous system is overwhelmed and looking for an escape route. The slow blink is entirely different. It is a signal of boredom. It says, "I see you, but I am not impressed and I am certainly not threatened." When someone is screaming at you or trying to intimidate you with a barrage of words, your natural instinct is to widen your eyes to take in more information. This is the fear response. By consciously lowering your eyelids and closing them for a full second or two before opening them again, you are hacking that biological loop. Here is the step-by-step execution of the slow blink. The person insults you. You do not respond immediately. You hold eye contact. Then you slowly close your eyes as if you are tired or as if their existence is exhausting you. You keep them closed for a beat longer than a normal blink. Then you open them slowly and look at them with a look of mild disappointment. You are communicating without a single word that their outburst was boring. It is the non-verbal equivalent of saying, "Is that it?" It signals that your calorie expenditure on this interaction is minimal. You are conserving energy because they are not a threat worthy of a fight or flight response. This is devastating to someone seeking a reaction. They want fuel. They want to see the fear in your eyes. When you give them the slow blink, you are cutting off their fuel supply. You are looking at them like a parent looks at a toddler who just threw spaghetti on the floor, not with fear, but with a weary realization that you now have to deal with a mess. It is crucial to combine these nonverbal cues with the silence we discussed earlier. The slow blink works best in silence. It creates a curiosity gap. The attacker is wondering what you are thinking. Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you plotting their demise? The slow blink gives them nothing. It is a blank canvas upon which they project their own insecurities. When you finally do speak after the slow blink, your words will carry 10 times more weight because you have built up anticipation. You have demonstrated that you are not reactive. Reactive people are weak. Proactive people are strong. The time it takes you to blink is the time you take to assert your frame control over the interaction. You are stealing the tempo. They are moving fast and loud. You are moving slow and quiet. In the physics of social interaction, the person with the most stable reality wins. The slow blink is the anchor that stabilizes your reality. Let us weave these together into a comprehensive strategy, because in the real world you might need to stack these tactics. Imagine the scenario where a superior at work is dressing you down unfairly in front of the team. They are shouting using sarcasm and personal attacks. Your heart is racing. First, you engage the physiological override. You breathe deep into your stomach. You drop your shoulders. You slow your internal clock. They finish their rant with a sarcastic comment like, "Maybe if you used your brain for once we would not be in this mess." You do not flinch. You do not look down. You hold their gaze. You execute the slow blink. You let the silence hang for 3 uncomfortable seconds. The room is frozen. Then you use the literal interpretation on the sarcasm combined with the concern frame. You keep your voice low and slow. You say, "I'm using my brain right now to process the feedback," but you seem incredibly upset and it is making it hard to get to the solution. Are you okay to continue, or do we need to take a break so you can collect your thoughts? Boom. You have just dismantled them on every level. You ignored the bait of the insult. You addressed the literal situation. You framed their anger as a disability that requires a break. And you did it all while sounding like the only adult in the room. This is not about being clever. This is about being grounded. It is about realizing that disrespect is a gift because it reveals the other person's hand. It shows you their weakness. When someone disrespects you, they are showing you that they lack self-control and that they feel the need to lower your status to raise their own, which means they inherently believe their status is fragile. When you see it through this lens, you no longer feel anger, you feel pity. And when you feel pity, you can employ these tactics not as techniques to win a fight, but as tools to manage a situation. The reason these kill shots work every time is because they leverage the fundamental laws of human psychology. People crave validation and they fear social ostracization. When they attack you, they are seeking validation of their power. By denying them that validation through the slow blink and literal interpretation, you starve their ego. By offering them the concern frame, you threaten them with social ostracization by labeling their behavior as abnormal. You are effectively putting a mirror in front of their face and forcing them to look at their own ugliness. Most people cannot stand the sight of their own lack of control. They will crumble or they will flee. Either way, you have maintained your dignity and you have established a boundary that says, "I am not a person you can treat this way." This is high-value behavior. High-value people do not get dragged into the mud. They stand on the bank and watch the other person struggle in the quicksand of their own making. Remember that the goal here is not to be liked. The goal is to be respected. Often we conflate the two, thinking that if we are nice and submissive, people will like us and therefore respect us. That is a lie. People respect competence. People respect boundaries. People respect those who can handle pressure without cracking. When you use social jiu-jitsu, you are demonstrating high-level social competence. You are showing that you can handle the pressure of an attack without losing your cool. This naturally draws people to you. It creates a magnetic field of authority. People feel safe around someone who cannot be easily rattled. If you can handle a bully with a slow blink and a calm question, you can handle a crisis in the business. You can handle a negotiation. You can handle life. These are not just verbal tricks, they are indicators of character. They are signals that you have done the work on yourself to override your biological programming and operate from a place of conscious choice. So the next time you feel that heat rising in your chest and you hear the sharp tone of disrespect coming your way, do not resist it. Welcome it. See it as an opportunity to practice. Take that deep breath. Slow everything down. Look them in the eye. Blink slowly. And ask yourself, which tool am I going to use to dismantle this person's ego today? Will it be the concern frame? Will it be the literal interpretation? Or will I just let the silence do the heavy lifting? The power is entirely in your hands because you are the one who decides how the story ends. You are not a character in their movie, they are a character in yours, and in your movie, disrespect is simply not a valid currency. You do not accept it. You do not trade in it. You simply neutralize it and move on to what actually matters. This is how you win. This is how you become untouchable. This is the art of social jiu-jitsu. We are about to completely rewrite the operating system of your brain regarding social friction and interpersonal conflict, because up until this very moment you have likely been operating under a false premise that is draining your energy and lowering your social status. You have been conditioned to believe that when someone disrespects you, it is a commentary on your value, but we are going to flip that switch right now and install what I call the Teflon Mindset Protocol, which is a 7-day psychological regimen designed to make you completely immune to the emotional sticky bombs that insecure people try to throw at you. Before we get into the daily mechanics of the pause and the observer mode, we need to lock in the single most important psychological shift you will ever make in your life, which is the realization that disrespect is never a measurement of your worth, it is always, without exception, a confession of their insecurity. You need to really let that sink in because it changes the texture of reality. When someone is rude to you or dismissive or aggressive, they are essentially handing you a signed confession regarding their own internal state of chaos. Happy people do not go around destroying others. People who are secure in their competence and their identity do not feel the need to belittle others to generate a false sense of height. When a person attacks you verbally or emotionally, they are projecting their own shadow onto you like a movie projector casting an image onto a blank screen. You are just the screen. The image is coming from their reel. If the image is ugly or distorted or violent, that is because the film inside them is damaged, not because the screen is broken. This is the aha moment that needs to vibrate in your bones. Every insult is an autobiography. If someone calls you stupid, it is because they are terrified of being perceived as unintelligent. If someone calls you lazy, it is usually because they are burnt out and resentful of your ability to rest. If someone attacks your appearance, it is because they are chained to a mirror of self-hatred. Once you understand this deep in your gut, you stop getting angry and you actually start feeling a strange sense of pity because you realize you are dealing with a person who is suffering and they are just clumsy enough to splash that suffering onto you. This reframing is the foundation of the Teflon mindset because Teflon is a material that nothing can stick to. You want to coat your psyche in this realization so that when the mud is thrown, it slides right off, leaving no stain and no residue. This is not about being passive, it is about being chemically unreactive to the toxicity of others. To operationalize this, we are going to spend days 1 through 3 of this protocol focusing exclusively on a technique I call the pause challenge, which sounds deceptively simple, but is actually one of the hardest things you will ever do because it requires you to override millions of years of evolutionary biology. When someone disrespects us, our amygdala, the ancient lizard part of our brain, perceives it as a threat to our survival because in the tribal days, social ostracization meant death, so we are hardwired to react immediately with a fight or flight response. Your heart rate spikes, your cortisol floods your system, and your mouth opens to snap back before your rational brain even comes online. The pause challenge breaks this loop. For the first 3 days of this protocol, your only job is to wait exactly 2 full seconds before you respond to anyone about anything, but especially when you feel that spike of disrespect. You are going to physically count 1,000 to 1,000 in your head while maintaining eye contact. This does 2 massive things simultaneously. First, it allows your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical CEO of your brain, to catch up to your amygdala so you can choose a response rather than just reacting like a wounded animal. Second, and more importantly, it creates a vacuum of silence that is absolutely terrifying for the person who just disrespected you. You have to understand that when someone throws an insult, they are expecting a rhythm. They hit the tennis ball and they expect you to hit it back immediately. When you don't hit it back, when you just let it land on the court and stare at it, you break the rhythm of the interaction. That 2 seconds of silence feels like 2 hours to an insecure person. They start to panic internally. They wonder if you didn't hear them, or if you did hear them and you just don't care, or if you are analyzing them. In that silence, their power evaporates. They wanted a reaction and you gave them a void. Often in that 2-second pause, they will start to stutter or backpedal, awkwardly laugh because the tension of your non-reaction forces them to sit in the mess they just made. You are essentially holding up a mirror and forcing them to look at their own bad behavior in high definition. It is a power move of the highest order because it signals that you are not easily moved. You are the rock in the river and the water flows around you. The person who reacts immediately is the person who is easily controlled. If I can make you angry with a sentence, I own you. If I can make you defensive with a look, I own you. By pausing, you are reclaiming ownership of your nervous system and telling the world that access to your emotions is a VIP experience that cannot be triggered by cheap shots. As you master the pause during those first 3 days, you will notice a shift in your physiology where the burning sensation in your chest starts to cool down, and once you have stabilized that reaction gap, we move into days 4 through 7 where we deploy the observer mode. This is a cognitive visualization technique used by high-level negotiators and elite athletes to maintain peak performance under pressure. For the second half of the week, you are going to visualize a thick pane of soundproof, bulletproof glass between you and the rest of the world. When you are in a social interaction or a meeting or even a family dinner, visualize yourself sitting behind this glass wall. You can see everything perfectly and you can hear the data coming through, but the emotional frequency cannot penetrate the glass. When someone says something disrespectful, visualize their words hitting the glass and sliding down like rain. You are safe inside. You are observing the interaction rather than being immersed in it. This is a form of healthy dissociation where you step back and look at the situation almost like a scientist studying a lab rat. Instead of thinking, how dare he say that to me, you think, wow, that is a fascinating display of narcissism. I wonder what happened in his childhood to make him act like that in a board meeting. Do you see the difference? You are moving from victim to observer. The victim feels the pain of the words. The observer analyzes the data of the words. When you are in observer mode, you are untouchable. You can actually smile during a conflict because you are watching a performance that you are not part of. This visualization creates emotional distance, which is the key to maintaining your status. People can feel when you are detached. It gives you an air of mystery and authority. It signals that you have things going on in your life that are so much more important than this petty interaction that you can't even be bothered to get upset. You are giving off the energy of someone who has options, someone who is secure, and someone who is the main character of their own movie, not a supporting actor in someone else's drama. This leads us directly into the law of least effort, which is a universal principle stating that in any social interaction, the person who reacts the least holds the most power. Think about the most powerful people you know or have seen in history. Do they run around screaming and justifying themselves? Do they write long paragraphs in the comment section defending their honor? No. They say very little. They move slowly. They breathe deeply. They conserve their energy. The law of least effort is about economy of motion applied to psychology. Every time you react emotionally, you are spending expensive energy on something that likely yields a zero or negative return on investment. The person throwing the disrespect is trying to tax your energy grid. They want to deplete you because misery loves company, and if they can drag you down into the mud with them, they feel less alone in their wretchedness. By refusing to expend effort on their drama, you are engaging in the ultimate act of self-preservation and dominance. You are saying my energy is too expensive for you to afford. This drives people crazy because it is the ultimate rejection. Hate is not the opposite of love, indifference is. When you practice the Teflon mindset, you are practicing the art of strategic indifference. You are not cold, you are not mean, you are simply efficient. You reserve your emotional caloric expenditure for people and things that actually matter. This week-long protocol is about training your brain to stop leaking energy. It is about sealing the cracks in your ego so that you no longer need validation from people who don't even like themselves. When you combine the biological hack of the 2-second pause with the visualization of the observer mode and the philosophy of least effort, you become a ghost to their aggression. They try to punch you and they hit air. They try to insult you and it sounds like a foreign language. You are operating on a different frequency. You have ascended above the noise. This is not just about handling conflict, it is about restructuring your identity. You start to see yourself as a fortress. And the beauty of this protocol is that it is self-reinforcing. The more you do it, the better it feels and the more power you accumulate. You will start to see people respecting you more, not because you demanded it, but because you stopped engaging with their disrespect. You train them how to treat you by showing them that their old tricks don't work anymore. If a child throws a tantrum and the parent screams back, the tantrum continues. If the parent calmly watches without reacting, the child eventually realizes the strategy is ineffective and stops. You are dealing with adult children. The Teflon mindset is your way of parenting the world around you without ever saying a word. Let's go deeper into the nuance of the confession aspect, because this is where the real transformation happens and where you stop taking things personally forever. When you really analyze the anatomy of an insult, it is always a projection of a deficit. Let's say you are in a creative meeting and someone shoots down your idea with a snarky comment like, "That's a cute idea, but we need something real." The old you would get defensive and feel small. The Teflon you activates the pause, waits 2 seconds, and in that silence analyzes the confession. What did they just confess? They confessed that they feel threatened by your creativity. They confessed that they are stuck in a rigid way of thinking, and cute is their way of diminishing something that intimidates them. They confessed that they are afraid of taking risks. All of that information was packed into that one sentence. Once you see the hidden data, you can't unsee it. You stop feeling hurt and you start feeling like you have the cheat codes to human behavior. You realize that everyone is walking around with a billboard on their forehead broadcasting their insecurities, and most people are too busy worrying about themselves to read the signs. But you are reading the signs. You are the observer. This gives you a massive tactical advantage. Instead of fighting back, you can maneuver around their insecurities. You can dismantle them with a question. After the 2-second pause, instead of defending your idea, you could say simply, "It sounds like risk makes you uncomfortable." Boom. You have just taken the subtext and made it text. You have called out the confession. You didn't get angry, you just observed. This is the power of the glass wall. You are safe behind it, just pointing out what you see. The law of least effort also applies to your internal dialogue. We spend so much energy rehearsing arguments in the shower or replaying conversations in bed at night thinking about what we should have said. This is wasted effort. This is you letting them live rent-free in your head. The Teflon mindset means you wipe the surface clean. Once the interaction is over, it is over. You do not carry the residue. You do not let the mud dry on your coat. This requires discipline. It requires you to catch yourself when you start looping on a negative interaction and say, "Stop. I am not spending energy on this." It is a conscious redirection of your mental resources. Think about your attention like a flashlight. You have a limited amount of battery. Why are you pointing your flashlight at the trash in the corner? Point it at the path ahead. Point it at your goals. Point it at the people who love you. Every second you spend analyzing the disrespect of a fool is a second you are stealing from your own future. The law of least effort demands that you be ruthless with your focus. The person who disrespects you is trying to hijack your flashlight. They are waving their arms, screaming, "Look at me, look at me." And the most devastating thing you can do is keep your light trained on your mission and keep walking. This is what it means to be unbothered. It is not an act. It is a prioritization of resources. During days 4 through 7, when you are in observer mode, you might find it helpful to actually visualize the person disrespecting you as a non-player character or an NPC in a video game. This is a bit of internet culture, but the psychology is sound. An NPC has a programmed set of lines. They can't help it. They are just executing a script. When an NPC glitches and says something weird, you don't get offended, you just laugh and keep playing. Treat rude people like NPCs. They are stuck in a loop of their own programming. They are acting out their trauma scripts. You are the player. You have agency. You can choose to engage or you can choose to bypass. Seeing them this way reduces their significance. It takes them off the pedestal of threat and puts them in the category of background noise. It is hard to be intimidated by a glitchy algorithm. This perspective shift creates a natural barrier between your core self and their words. You start to move through the world with a lightness that attracts people. Because here is the secret byproduct of the Teflon mindset: people are drawn to those who are unshakable. In a world full of reactive, offended, neurotic people, the person who remains calm and amused is a lighthouse. You become a magnet for high-value people because high-value people do not want drama, they want stability. They want to be around someone who can handle the heat without sweating. By practicing this protocol, you're not just protecting yourself from disrespect, you are signaling to the universe that you are ready for a higher level of operation. Let's break down the physiology of the pause even further, because the biology is fascinating and understanding it makes it easier to execute. When you are triggered, your body prepares for kinetic action. Your muscles tense, your pupils dilate. This is energy mobilization. If you do not use that energy to fight or flee, it gets stuck in your body and turns into anxiety or shakes. The 2-second pause is not just waiting, it is a grounding technique. During those 2 seconds, I want you to feel your feet on the floor. Literally shift your attention to the soles of your feet. This pulls the energy down from your head where the panic is to your feet where the stability is. It grounds you. It tells your nervous system, we are not running, we are standing. This microshift in attention is invisible to the other person, but it changes your entire vibration. You go from looking startled to looking planted. A planted person is dangerous. A planted person is formidable. The aggressor will feel this shift. They will see that their attack did not uproot you. It is a primal communication that bypasses language. You are saying, I am here and I am not moving. And then when you do speak after the silence, your voice will be lower. It will be slower. Because you are not speaking from the throat panic, you are speaking from the diaphragm power. The law of least effort dictates that the slower you speak, the more importance is attributed to your words. Fast talking is a sign of submission. It shows you are worried about being interrupted. Slow talking is a sign of dominance. It shows you believe your words are worth waiting for. The pause sets up this cadence. It tees you up to deliver your response with maximum impact. We must also address the concept of the emotional vampire, because these are the people who will test your Teflon coating the most. These are the people who feed on your reaction. They are addicted to the drama. They will escalate if you don't react at first. They will poke harder. This is the extinction burst. Like a toddler screaming louder when you ignore them. During the 7-day protocol, you might see an uptick in aggression from these specific people because they are trying to re-establish the old control mechanism. They are pushing the buttons that used to work. This is the critical moment. You must hold the line. You must stay behind the glass wall. If you break and react, now you teach them that they just need to push harder to get to you. But if you hold the frame, if you maintain the observer mode, they will eventually starve. They will run out of fuel. They will move on to an easier target. You are essentially training them that the grocery store is closed. There is no food here. No emotional food. No reaction food. Go starve somewhere else. This is the ultimate victory. It is not about winning the argument, it is about ending the dynamic. The Teflon mindset frees you from the cycle of abuse and manipulation. It cuts the strings that the puppeteer has been using to make you dance. And once you cut those strings, you realize you can walk away. You can walk in any direction you want. You are free. The transformation you will feel after 7 days of this is profound because you are reclaiming your cognitive bandwidth. Think about how much mental RAM is used up worrying about what people think or reacting to their jabs. It is like having 50 tabs open in your browser, slowing down your entire computer. When you close those tabs, when you stop processing their garbage, your system speeds up. You have more focus for your work, more patience for your loved ones, more creativity for your passions. You become a higher performing version of yourself. This is why the aha moment is so critical. It is the delete button for all those open tabs. Disrespect is their confession, not your definition. Repeat that until it is the wallpaper of your mind. Disrespect is their confession, not your definition. When you walk into a room wearing this mindset, you have a force field. You are dangerous in the best way possible because you cannot be manipulated. You are the eye of the storm, calm, focused, and untouchable. This is the path to true confidence. Not the fake confidence of puffing your chest out, but the quiet certainty of knowing who you are and knowing that nothing anyone says can scratch the surface of your value. Let us dismantle the entire architecture of human interaction and rebuild it so you understand exactly where you stand in the food chain of social dynamics, because when you truly grasp the physics of respect, you realize that it is not something you beg for, but something you command through the physics of space and time. We have spent this entire session deconstructing the psychology of the aggressor and the subtle cues of disrespect, but now we arrive at the absolute apex of the strategy where most people falter because they lack the emotional discipline to execute the nuclear option, which is the hierarchy of power. You need to visualize this hierarchy as a pyramid of influence where the bottom level is reaction and the top level is absence, and the vast majority of the population lives and dies in the swamp of reaction, which is exactly where the person disrespecting you wants you to stay. When someone throws a verbal jab or a passive-aggressive comment or blatantly disregards your boundaries, their entire biological system is primed for your reaction because they are feeding off the energy transfer that occurs when you get angry or defensive or sad. This is the vampire dynamic where they poke the bear to prove to themselves that they have the power to control the bear's emotional state. And if you snap back or you argue or you try to defend your character, you have immediately lost the frame because you are reacting to their stimulus, which makes them the cause and you the effect. You are essentially telling them that their opinion of you is so significant that it has the power to hijack your amygdala and force you into a fight or flight state, which is the ultimate form of validation for a disrespectful person. They want to know they matter, and your anger proves they matter, so you must ascend to the next level, which is response. A response is better than a reaction because it is calculated and logical, and it comes from the prefrontal cortex rather than the lizard brain, but it is still a trap because when you respond, you are operating under the assumption that the other person is interested in logic or reason or a fair exchange of ideas. You are assuming that if you just explain your feelings clearly enough, or if you just articulate your boundaries with enough precision, they will suddenly have an epiphany and treat you with the dignity you deserve. But this is a fallacy because disrespect is rarely about a misunderstanding and almost always about a power play. When you respond to disrespect with a well-crafted paragraph explaining why their behavior was hurtful, you are engaging in a negotiation of your value, but your value is not up for negotiation. You are casting pearls before swine, and you are wasting your precious cognitive resources trying to teach empathy to someone who is currently committed to misunderstanding you. This leads us to the third level of the pyramid, which is silence, and this is where we start getting into high-level manipulation of the frame because silence is a mirror. When you meet disrespect with absolute silence, you force the other person to sit in the awkward tension of their own behavior without any cover noise from you. Silence amplifies their rudeness because it denies them the back-and-forth rhythm of a conflict, and it makes them wonder if you even heard them or if you deemed their comment unworthy of a reply. However, silence has a flaw because if you remain in their physical presence or you remain in their digital orbit while being silent, they can still see you and they can still read your micro-expressions and they can still feel your energy shifting, so they know they have affected you even if you're not speaking. They can see the tension in your jaw or the way you look away, and that is enough fuel for them to keep going. This brings us to the summit of the mountain, the ultimate power move, the strategy that has no counterplay and the only response that actually shifts the balance of power permanently, and that is absence. Absence is not just silence, it is the complete removal of your energy and your attention and your physical presence from the equation. It is the realization that the strongest negotiating position you will ever have in any relationship, whether it is romantic or platonic or professional, is the ability to walk away and mean it. When you remove yourself from the environment, you are not just stopping the conversation, you are removing the oxygen that the fire needs to burn. You have to understand the psychology of the person who disrespects you because they are operating on a model of attention economics where they believe they are the prize and they believe you are lucky to be in their orbit, so they tax you with disrespect because they think you will pay it just to stay close to them. When you execute the protocol of absence, you shatter their reality because you are effectively telling them that the cost of doing business with them has become too high and you are taking your business elsewhere. This triggers a massive psychological fracture in their mind because suddenly the dynamic has flipped and they are no longer the one evaluating you, but you are the one who has evaluated them and found them lacking. You are the consumer who walked into the store, saw the price tag, saw the poor quality of the merchandise and walked out without saying a word to the manager. This creates what psychologists call a curiosity gap or an open loop in their brain because the human brain craves closure and it craves patterns, and when you break the pattern of engagement by simply vanishing, you disrupt their dopamine feedback loop. They expected a fight and they prepared their arguments and they were ready to gaslight you and twist your words, but you are not there to be gaslit. You are gone. You are completely unreachable. You are focusing on your own life and your own growth and your own happiness, and that is the ultimate insult to someone who wants to control you because it signifies that they are not the main character in your movie, they are just an extra who got their lines cut. This is why absence works every time, because it forces them to confront the void where your attention used to be. They will start to panic and they will reach out and they will try to bait you back in because they need to know that they still have access to you, but you must remain firm because access to you is a privilege that they have revoked through their behavior. You have to stop looking at walking away as a loss and start seeing it as a massive strategic victory because you are reclaiming your time and your mental bandwidth, which are the only two non-renewable resources you possess. Every second you spend trying to convince someone to respect you is a second you are stealing from the people who already respect you and from the goals that will actually build your future. You need to internalize the concept of the luxury good because in the marketplace of life you are the luxury good, and luxury goods do not chase customers, and luxury goods do not go on sale, and luxury goods certainly do not beg people to buy them. If you walk into a Louis Vuitton store and you start complaining about the prices or you start disrespecting the staff, they do not argue with you and they do not try to lower the price to keep you happy. They simply show you the door because they know their worth and they know that there is a line of people waiting outside who understand the value of what they offer. You need to adopt this mindset immediately. You are the prize. You have unique talents and a unique perspective and a capacity for love and loyalty that is rare in this world, and if someone is too blind or too insecure to see that, then that is not your problem to solve, that is their loss to mourn. Do not let discount buyers negotiate your value because they cannot afford the price tag. When you stay and argue, you are telling them that you are a discount item that can be haggled with, but when you walk away, you are reinforcing your status as a high-value individual who has options. This is about self-respect in its purest form because you cannot expect anyone else to respect you if you do not respect yourself enough to remove yourself from situations that are beneath you. The fear that holds you back is the fear of loss, but you have to ask yourself, what exactly are you losing? Are you losing a partner who makes you feel small, or a friend who makes you the butt of the joke, or a boss who takes credit for your work? That is not a loss, that is dead weight, and when you drop dead weight, you don't fall, you fly. You rise. The moment you decide to walk away, you will feel a rush of anxiety followed by a wave of absolute liberation because you have taken the control back into your own hands. You are no longer waiting for them to change, you are changing your environment. This is the difference between being a victim of circumstance and being the architect of your reality. You are signaling to the universe and to everyone around you that you have a standard, and that standard is absolute and non-negotiable. This is how you train the world how to treat you. People learn how to treat you by watching what you tolerate, and if you tolerate disrespect, you are training them to disrespect you, but if you demonstrate that disrespect equals immediate and permanent absence, you train them that you are untouchable. So here is the protocol, and I want you to take this seriously because this is not just a video, this is an intervention for your self-worth. We are initiating the 7-day untouchable challenge starting right now. For the next 7 days, if anyone disrespects you, whether it is a subtle dig or a blatant insult, you do not explain, and you do not argue, and you do not complain. You simply withdraw. You end the call. You leave the room. You leave the text unread. You go ghost. You focus entirely on leveling up your own life, on your fitness, on your finances, on your passion projects. You give them the gift of missing you. You let them feel the weight of your absence. And I want you to commit to this publicly because commitment creates accountability. I want you to go down to the comment section right now and type the word untouchable in all caps. Do it right now. Type untouchable to declare to yourself and to this community that you are done engaging with low vibrational energy, and that you are done negotiating your worth, and that you are ready to walk away from anything that does not serve your higher self. See the other people commenting and know that you are part of a global movement of people who are reclaiming their power. But here is the catch, and this is crucial because walking away is only half the battle. You need to know how to keep the gate locked once you have walked through it, and you need to know how to structure your life so that you don't just walk away, but you build a fortress of standards that prevents these people from ever getting close enough to hurt you again. You need to understand the mechanics of setting boundaries that are not just walls but are filtration systems that let the good in and keep the bad out without you having to turn into a cold or bitter person. You want to remain open and loving but protected, and that requires a very specific set of skills that we didn't have time to cover in this deep dive but are absolutely essential for the next phase of your evolution. That is why you need to watch this next video right here on how to set boundaries without being mean, because it is the shield that goes with the sword of walking away. It will teach you the scripts and the mindset shifts to enforce your standards with total grace and authority, so click that video right now and let's keep this transformation going, because you are building a version of yourself that is completely bulletproof.